Yo, what is up, everybody? Chris here from Fake Sports News, back in again with another video. Today I'm going to be bringing you guys part 2 of my Major 4 preview. Of course, in part 2 today, I'm going to be giving you guys a tier list, an updated one, as well as going over part 1 of my bracket for the CDL 2022 Major 4, hosted by the New York Subliner. Now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into the tier list. Of course, you know where I am. I'm on tiermaker.com, the #1 place to do tier lists on the internet for everybody and anybody. So, of course, we're going to go in alphabetical order just because that's how it's laid out. So, S tier, obviously, got to put Faze up there. Going into stage 4, or looking at stage 4, rather, I'm going to put Breach up there for sure. Florida, I'm going to put them in A tier. They've been playing very well. If 2Real can perform more consistently, I would definitely say that they stay in A tier, but they're at the top of the A tier if he plays well. LA Guerillas, I would put in B tier. They are a fringe A tier team. They have shown potential to be an A tier team by upsetting London and, of course, Faze, but they weren't able to beat any other team, so that's why I have them as a B. LA Thieves, they are another team who I put in A tier. They went 3-2. They made winners bracket as well, in addition to Mutineers, obviously. And, I think that bodes very well for them going into this major. They haven't had any good online splits since stage 1, I want to say. And then Faze beat them at the major. And yeah, Thieves just never looked the same after that this year. And funnily enough, they play Faze round 1. So we'll see if Lightning strikes twice and Thieves gets low-broed here. But, of course, the London Royal Ravens, obligatory S tier. If we're going to order them based on the strength of where I put them right now, I would put London above Faze. You guys know, coming into the year, I had London as a top 4 team along with Seattle. Check the statistics. Fact check me if you want. I had London up there. I really thought that they would come onto the scene and make an impact from the jump, and they really have, and they've never looked back. Especially after Gizmo left, they struggled with their consistency, but as soon as he came back, they were back and better than ever. So the Minnesota Rokkr, I will also put them in A tier. They went 3-2. They made winners bracket. So very typical performance out of them. The Subliners, I would put them, if they played Faze again, I think Faze would win pretty convincingly. Actually, if London played Faze again, I think Faze would win. So I'll put Faze at the top of S tier right now, just because Seattle and other teams, they just can't rival them. Paris Legion, we know where they're going. They're going in D tier. They can beat any of these teams. Don't take it the wrong way. I think Paris is a phenomenal team when they're on point, but they just haven't been on point since 11 series ago, which is all the way back in April maybe. I don't know. It's been a minute since Paris won series. The last time they won was on land, and they acted like they won champs. I mean, management came out, the owners came. It was like, what the hell am I seeing? So Paris is shocked. The Seattle Surge, of course, I would put them in B. Even though they went 1-4, I put Seattle in B. I think they are still that team. They just have a lot to figure out, but I don't know that they have enough time to figure it out. The major starts today. So we'll see how it goes. They do have a day of time to themselves to just kind of game plan and work through strategies before they start their losers bracket run. But whoever drops down into losers is coming from winners, and that means that they've been winning matches online consistently, getting good practice against the better teams and beating them, right? You don't make winners without beating good teams somewhere along the way. So that leads me to my next team, Optic Texas. I put them in B. You can never put them in C or D. It's just completely wrong and disrespectful to the body of work that they've delivered us all season, right? You can't put them in A. That's disrespectful to LA Thieves, Minnesota Rokkr, Florida Mutineers, teams that have been playing very well. But you also just can't spit on them and act like they're absolute trash, because they're not. They're a great team. They're just going through the roughest patch that the org has ever seen. Toronto Ultra, I actually am going to put them in A. And this might surprise you guys. I think they're the weakest A tier team, but I do think they're still an A tier team. They did win 2 series. And the series that they lost were typically pretty close, apart from the 3-0 against Faze, but it's Faze, and they never match up well against Faze because, I mean, Insight's a free kill, right? Like, we know Insight plays really slow. He plays like a snail, and Kleenex has to do way too much. Vance can't do his Bancy dance. And it's really hard for Cam to get going. He plays so well against Faze, but the rest of the team this year especially just can't compete. So this is my final tier listing. This is my final tier list. This is what I think for S tier. I think Faze, London, New York, and Boston, of course. I think Mutineers, strongest team in the A tier, honestly. I think Thieves are also another strong team. I think Rokkr, I don't know where to put them. I think the 3-2 that they got this stage was kind of buffed. I don't necessarily feel like it was their best showing. I feel like they could have done a lot better, certainly. And the 3-2 is not super encouraging for a team that hasn't won on land since they've made so many improvements. And then the B tier, we of course have, well, and we have Toronto Ultra in the A tier as well. And then the B tier, we have Guerillas, Surge, and Optic. These are 3 teams that are just down on their luck. Ironically, the B tier, hold up, the B tier is all of our major winners. Kind of interesting. Just goes to show that there's really very little consistency in this game. And it makes my head hurt, man. I mean, major 1 winner, major 3 winner, major 2 winner. They're all in B tier. They're all abysmal right now. It doesn't make any sense. And then Paris D, yeah, like, yeah. So moving on to our pick'ems. We, of course, will be kicking things off today with the London Royal Ravens taking on the Toronto Ultra. The battle of EU continues, ladies and gentlemen. And for Bance, he's hoping to make it 3-12 against Trey or 0. But I don't think he will. As I said, the London Royal Ravens are just in a different league right now. I mean, Ultra is ultra like confused, I guess, at this point in the season. They won 2 matches, right? They made winners, but at what cost, right? Like they didn't look good doing it. So I think it's a 3-1 for Ravens. I think actually I'll say it's a 3-2. It's a major. Ultra are a great team. I don't want to disrespect them by saying that they can't push to a game 5 because they can, and they probably will. It's a major. Come on now. You know it's going to be absolutely litty, and teams are going to be playing out of their minds. I think 3-2 London is the call for the first matchup of tomorrow. In our next matchup, we have the Boston Breach taking on the Florida Mutineers. And given their current form, this is a serious trap game, right? The Boston Breach are looking the best they've looked all year. This is mirroring really where they were in the beginning of the year when they were a top 14, and they placed really well at the first couple majors. Yeah, I think Boston Breach are poised to make a very, very good run at this tournament because no matter which team they play, Subliners or Rokkr, I feel like they are the better team. So this side of the bracket is very favorable for them. So with that in mind, I think it's a 3-1 for the Breach. And here's why. I think in the respawns, the Breach are just a better team. They have more slaying prowess. Reese Vivid, with the way he plays his life, it's really opening up the map for Methods, TJ, and Nero in a way that I wasn't expecting it to. They just needed a more consistent anchor of a player as an SMG. I don't know what it is about this team, but ever since Reese came in, it's just the perfect fit. I know they wanted to pick him up in the beginning, but he's clearly the right fit for this team. So with that in mind, I think it's a 3-1. I think the respawns are where they win it against Florida. I think in the hard point, it'll likely be super close. It'll probably be 250, 220-ish. I think the S&D will probably be a 6-4 in favor of the Breach. If not, I think it's a 6-5 in favor of the Mutineers. And I think the control would probably be a 3-1 in favor of the Breach. I think it'll be pretty dominant. And unless Florida plays up, Florida's a very, very good team. They have a lot of upset potential, but I think Breach is just in a better spot right now. And they seem to be in flow state. So I think with that in mind, I think they take it. And then I think the 4th map, I'll guess it's a Tuscan hardpoint. I think it's around 250, 170. So I think it's a 3-1 for the Breach. I think they punched their ticket to winners round 2 on Saturday, where I'll update you guys, of course, on Friday night. And in our next matchup, we have our defending hosts, of course, New York Subliners taking on the Minnesota Rokkr. And as it stands right now, the plan is for Clayster to play in place of Paco or Hydra because he has COVID. So I don't know. Clay's been frying in challengers. And the core of this team, Kismet, Paul, and Crimsix, the thick boys, they've been playing out of their minds. So I don't know, man. I something's in the water with this New York team. Rockers looked really good. Don't get me wrong. Sandy, Attach, Priesta, and of course Havoc. They're really gelled. They've really gelled very well. Of course, in qualifiers, they're 8-2 since picking up Havoc. But New York, they just got the hot hand. This is their major. And looking at the buff that Toronto Ultra got, I'm going to say it's a 3-2 for the New York Subliners. Now, I recognize that if this goes wrong, this is the place where my bracket completely dies. But as someone who grew up early in their life in New York, and as an avid Yankees and Knicks fan, I got to do it, man. I got to go all in on Subliners. I'm sorry. I just do. In our last matchup of the day, actually our next matchup of the day, I believe there's one more at 7:30. No, there is not. I'm faded. In our last matchup of the day, we of course have my home team, Atlanta Faze. Faze up, baby. You know, I got to throw it in there every video. Faze up. Come on, man. We have Atlanta Faze taking on the LA Thieves. And personally, I think it'll be a 3-1 for Faze. I think the LA Thieves can't touch Faze in the respawns. I think map 1 in the last series that they played was kind of an anomaly. Map 3, I feel like it was also an anomaly. LA Thieves played out of their minds that series, but their consistency has not been there this stage. They are a LAN team. I do recognize that. But I think Faze is just a better team through and through. And on LAN, I think Faze wins this. Now, I do recognize that Faze does not necessarily care about this tournament very much. They clinched champs at the last major, like I think match 1. So they really don't care about this event at all. They want to win it, obviously, but honestly, with the Curse of Vanguard, with the Vanguardian Leviosa, I don't want Faze to win this event. I want somebody else to win it, and I want them to win champs because everybody gets one this year, it seems. New York won the Pro-Am. I mean, Toronto won the Kickoff Classic. Like, even down to the events that don't count, there's been a different winner for each event. So it would be cool to see New York win one that actually counts at home. And I hope Faze doesn't win. I hope they win champs instead. So there it is. I think it's a 3-1 for Faze over Thieves. And that wraps up my coverage for day 1. So to kick things off, I think it's a 3-2 for the LA Thieves. I think it's a 3-2 for the London Royal Ravens over the Toronto Ultra. I think they get it done through the respawns and the first S&D. In our second matchup, we have the Boston Breach taking on the Florida Mutineers. I think the Breach will likely sweep the respawns, but I do recognize that Florida has very strong upset potential. If Two Real plays well, he's the X factor in this entire series. He's the most really important player here. If he plays well, then the Mutineers win. If he doesn't, then they get tucked. In our next matchup, we have our host, the New York Subliners, taking on the Minnesota Rokkr. And, you know, I'm just doing it for the vibes and just off the fact that Crimsix, the GOAT, he's going to be mad because I didn't buy my ticket. He's going to be mad I didn't buy my ticket. I mean, let's keep it a buck. So with that in mind, I think he's going to fry. And I think he's going to do that little pose he does on stage, get hype for the crowd. And Clay's back. The GOAT's back. The GOAT squad is back. Excuse me. And I think they win. And then in our last matchup, of course, Faze taking on the Thieves. I think it's another Faze win. I don't know that Thieves have ever beat Faze. So I don't see that happening tomorrow on LAN. I think with Faze losing the matches that they did in the way that they did, losing to the Los Angeles Guerillas, dude, and London Royal Ravens, dude. Come on now. That was the first time Ravens have ever beat Faze. Of course, Guerillas beat Faze every year, it seems. But Ravens, that was their first win against Faze, and they beat the mental block. So Faze will definitely be in the frame of mind of, holy crap, one of our biggest threats just beat their mental block against us. So we really need to make sure that we are on our P's and Q's. So yeah, guys, it's going to be a crazy, crazy, crazy day 1. The implications of this are absolutely insane. Minnesota in the standings, I believe they are sitting at 10th place. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up the standings. Okay, so here we are at the standings. Shout out to my buddies at Breaking Point. I have a lot of friends over there, such nice guys. I love what they're doing for the community. The site's amazing. The stat organization, the stats are really in depth. The advanced stats they offer are so useful. I use Breaking Point for everything. This is like the COD Bible. So looking at our standings, of course, Boston is the 5th seeded team. So that's correcting what I said in the last video. Of course, the report card. So if you haven't seen that already, it's super long. Go check it out. And looking at our standings, the Minnesota Rokkr versus New York Subliners match is really, really crucial because New York is in 11th place in the standings and Minnesota's in 9th place. They are right below the line of cutoff for champs. So Minnesota is going to try to leapfrog LAG because LAG, they play in losers on Friday in their first matchup, and they're going to be playing for their, champ spot. So with that one, it's going to be crazy. That's really the closest matchup that we have in terms of the standings. Of course, Breach and Florida are not close in the standings, right? Breach is 30 points above Florida. So Florida could definitely play up and not knock Breach out of champs contention, but they could definitely make it a lot harder for Breach to get any more points and stagnate, right? Like if they get knocked out, it's over. They can't earn any more points. They just have to hope that no one else that's a threat to them gets more points than them. So it's going to be very mixy. Yeah, Breach and Florida are really the closest in the standings other than Subliners and Rokkr. Thieves and Faze, that's very, like looking at it, right? Like Thieves are obviously in 7th with 150 points. They're right above the cutoff, 5 points above the cutoff, 10 points above Minnesota. So Thieves really need to win this matchup, but they're going up against Faze, who has 290 points, which is nuts, right? Like they finished with, I think, 400 points last year or something crazy like that. So they're on pace to do almost the same thing. So that one's not really close in the standings. There are other series between London and Ultra's a lot closer in standings. London is 3rd place, Ultra's 6th place. Ultra's only 30 points behind London. So if they make a deep run at this tournament, they could definitely knock London out here and then surpass them at some point if they at least win 2 more matches, right? Because this is going to get them the 10 points they need to get to 170. And it's based on placing. So I believe top 6 by default, right? You have to win at least 2 matches to be top 6. You get 30 points. So that's crucial for them. If they can stop the bleeding of, obviously London like stabbing them in the back for this placing, right? If they win, then Ultra in a great spot going forward. They definitely have secured a spot at least in the top 6 for champs, and they're creating more distance between themselves and teams like Minnesota, Guerillas, and LA Thieves at the same time. So yeah, guys, that was about wrapped up for me. Be sure to tune into all the matches this weekend. It's going to be absolutely nutty. This is the most insane event we've ever had in Call of Duty, apart from any of our champs, because this is seeding for champs. This is the last call. This is the final countdown, right? Like this is the last chance to earn any points to qualify for champs. Only 8 teams make it. And look at the cutoff, bro. We literally have 7 teams on the bubble. London is not really as much on the bubble considering their form, unless they have an unbelievable breakdown this weekend. London's qualifying for champs with probably 1 or 2 series wins realistically. 2 series wins, they definitely clinch. 1 arguable, but it's very likely that they would at the worst get maybe 6th seed going into champs. So yeah, it's going to be a really interesting weekend. Faze and Optic are the only 2 teams that have punched their tickets to champs. They're the only 2 safe teams right now. They're just too far ahead of everybody else getting knocked out of contention. So their seeds is number 1 and 2 are all but secured. Faze is definitely secured as number 1 seed. No one can surpass them. Even Optic can't surpass them. There aren't enough available points. Yeah, Faze would just have to win 1 match and they've definitely locked up for a seed. Because if they get 300 points, well, they have to get 310 to make sure, because Optic will get 65 if they win this event, and if they get 65, they're at 300. So they have to get 300 to make sure, 310 to make sure they win, didn't get first seed. So that's just 2 series. Right? They definitely will win 2 series this weekend. So yeah, guys, wraps up for me. Sorry I make such long videos, but it's the end of the year. I have to make sure you get all the context, all the information that you need to watch these matches. These matches are huge. The implications are absolutely insane. This is the end of the year. This is the best time of the year. And I hope you guys enjoy all the COD. Like I always say, it's going to be a great, great day of COD. Great 3 days of COD. This is going to be the craziest 3 days of COD we've ever seen, apart from any of our previous champs. And I hope you guys enjoy it. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it out to Brooklyn. As you guys know, I went to NFTMIC a few weeks ago, and a lot of people I know got sick. So I just don't want to chance it. And, there's always next year. So hopefully we get an event in Atlanta. I really want to go to another event in Atlanta. And I seem to go to an event in Atlanta every like 2 to 3 years. The last one I went to before 2020 was 2018. So hopefully, no, I broke the streak. It's gonna be 3 years, but I'll make it out to Atlanta. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great morning, noon, or night, wherever you may be on this beautiful planet. And I'll catch you guys on the next video. Once again, this has been Chris from Fake Sports News, and I'm signing off. So yeah, that'll about wrap it up for me. Hope you guys have a great morning, noon, or night, wherever you may be on this beautiful planet. And I'll catch you guys on the next video. Once again, this is Chris from Fake Sports News, and I'm signing off. Don't forget to, of course, like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Be sure to come back tomorrow for more coverage of the next day's matches and today's matches, what happened, and the implications. So yeah, guys, that was about to do it for me. Once again, this is Chris with Big Sports News, and I'm signing off. Have a great night, and peace out.